was just the welcome that I had, okay? So, all right. So, although we will be talking about some financial literacy stuff, but this is not what this is. I want to welcome you to our discussion tonight, how we got here. This is an opportunity for us to have a dialogue, for us to discuss some things that we feel are so too long unsaid. It's like the elephant in the room, right? It's like the elephant in the room, too long unsaid. And what we'd really like you to do tonight is bring you into our experience. How it is that we are experiencing community, how we experience housing and money and all of those things as it relates to our civic relationship to the community. Okay? So it's a lesson, it's a sharing, it's a discussion, and I'm going to say also that it may make you moderately to significantly uncomfortable because it's that kind of discussion. We want to get into it, okay? So, we're all dressed up, but we came to get into it, all right? So whatever, there's no, and you've all heard this before, there's no dumb question, right? There's only the answer that we haven't retrieved yet, all right? So my name is Robin Whitehurst, and I am a trustee for the Oneness Wellness Lifestyles Foundation and R.J. Whitehurst Trustee and Associates. It is our mission to come into and assist communities, households, to understand economics, learn more about economics. We teach financial literacy, that's why I have this kind of a slide, in households. But there's a bigger mission. There's a mission of what's really going on inside the community. Who's voting, who's not voting, why they're not voting, what's happening inside the households, why are we having, in our experience, why are we having our sons incarcerated, why are our sons shot down on the street, why are police getting off, right? Those kinds of conversations. Why is it that communities are not listening, they don't really have an ear to the ground of black and brown people? So that's what this conversation is about. All right, so when I say it could make you mildly to moderately to significantly uncomfortable, that's why. All right, so are we all in? All right, so permission-based, all right? So now I also want to say that the restroom is right through here. You go to the tree and make a left and it'll be on your right, okay? And you see the food, and we are recording. Okay, we're not recording you, we're recording the session so that we have it for posterity. Our mission at the foundation is to create legacy in community. And for too long we have not, well, forever. In our North American experience, we don't have a legacy creation tool. They're out there, but we don't know anything about them. And we don't have foundations that come into our community like, name one, Ford, name another one. Yeah, them. And the big, yeah, and yeah, those folks. They're not coming, that's why we don't know who they are. Right? But they give big money to the humanities and grants and all kinds of stuff. There's no shortage of money. None. Okay, there's no shortage of money. We have to get in the flow of it. And the way we get in the flow of it is to understand it and then come together as a community holistically, not at odds with each other, but hearing one another. And that's what this is about, so that we can hear each other's concerns and not feel like we're being planned all around, moved here and there. So, I'd like to introduce you, well, before I introduce you to the panel, I want to play a really short movie. Okay, somebody said it's like an Amway thing, so it is not. Okay, all right. So it's maybe 2 minutes and 17 seconds, I think, on a YouTube, but it will set the context for our conversation tonight. All right. All right. Welcome. Give yourself a hand. Yeah.
go back and you look at what Africans did, the first people who crossed a river, the first people who decided how to build shelter, the first people who decided geometry, how to count, these were African people.
What cannot be debated, what cannot be questioned is that African civilizations have become one of the most advanced in the world. Africa is the richest continent in the world with the poorest people. It has the longest history, but Africans are generally the ones who are most ignorant about their own history. Historically, if you talk about the slave and the slave owner was not African. The slave was an African. And therefore today, if we are talking about the message of the workers or the African, we need to change that. Africa should be left on her own to carve out a democracy that suits the prevailing conditions of that particular country.
Who reflected the scar on the African continent? Who is responsible for it? Who continues to inflict that scar on the African continent?
Okay, so we're not in Africa, are we? No, we're not in Africa, okay? However, we still have the scars, and we still are dealing with colonialism. So we're not in Africa anymore. And we have an experience that we share that we have on the inside, but the larger community doesn't know it, doesn't understand it, and in a lot of sense could care less, okay? So this is a conversation to begin to have the dialogue. And so Greg and Whitney, I have to pick on you guys to have the conversation with us. Is that okay? Because this is really about, and we think that 7 o'clock is going to be the real one, you know, right? But we want to talk about it. We want to talk about it. And so this sets the stage for why we're in the condition that we're in, and how it is that we come to solutions and some kind of reconciliation. Okay? So this is, we had a, if you get the handout please, because this is a peaceful conversation. Okay? All right, I think I need to say that out loud. This is a peaceful conversation. So before we go forward, I'd like to introduce the panel. All right? Because I want to talk about the clip. Okay? So all the way to my far left is Brother Kenneth Muhammad. Okay? I've known Kenneth for just a little while. He has a mission that is not to be denied. And I heard it the first time he spoke it to me. So what's happening in East Spencer is part of the mission here. Okay? What's going on in the community, what's happening in each and every household. So he brought to my attention what the matter is. And then next to him we have Antonio Bonner. Thank you. I almost said boom. Bonner. Thank you. And so I'm just meeting Antonio, and I'm so excited. Antonio is Vice President Mortgage and Lending for Wells Fargo. So we are embarking on a partnership with Wells Fargo with regard to housing and lending and land and all of that, because we have to have an economic conversation. All right. Introduce myself. I want to ask Ms. Whitney Peckman if she would change seats and join the panel with us. Okay. Whitney is a strange bird. Well, you're welcome. And I love it because she hears the conversation. Okay, she hears it, she understands it, she's well read about it, she's not afraid of it, And in a closed room, she will cuss you out about it, okay, in terms of her position on what's really going on in the larger community, okay, so that we all can begin to understand who it is. Myself, I think I introduced you, I'm here to create the legacy. They told me, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit, they told me that public housing is going away in 40 years. Okay, I have a great-granddaughter. She doesn't live here, but the public housing is going away here, and I don't expect that she will live in public housing, okay? But I know people who do live in public housing, and so something has to be done now in order that the next generations are secure, all right? Because it's way past time that little brown babies are born without a legacy. They come in ground zero and there's nothing there for them. I'm a licensed financial professional, and we have tools for that, all right, that our community is just not aware of. So I'm going to take a seat, and the question on the floor right now, the opening discussion is, what was the feeling about the film? Clip.
Let me say this before.
Yes, please.
So that normally Greg would be up here. So I don't want you to think it's a disrespect, but what we wanted to do is have a conversation and let him observe the conversation and jump
Yes, sir.
in wherever he wants to jump in.
Yes, sir.
A couple months ago, we got a contentious relationship. But after we go into the Rowan event, I kind of saw where he was trying to go. And I had invited Robin to go and Whitney and some other people, and they came away impressed. I was impressed. And committees are a great idea, and I think that's going to get a lot of traction. The only thing I criticized was that there was some blacks there, but our voice wasn't there. And the speaker made the case. But locally, there was nobody speaking into that situation, and I'll be quiet. I just wanted you to know how we set up. And I'm glad not a lot of people are not here. I'm glad, because normally Greg would probably think this is going to be adversarial, but okay. So, all right, so we couldn't.
Yes, now we're a contribution to peace. Okay.
So along too, because we're just a tiny group, and others will probably roll in around 7 o'clock when they thought they were supposed to start. But so please feel free to speak up and add to the conversation. So the film clip was a reminder for me that nations continue to try to colonize the African continent, and that the oppression through economics and through the manipulation of economic structures, the oppression of black and brown people continues virtually the same as it was in slave days. It's just that the name is changed. The players are still the same. And I think that when we look at the African continent and we see Europe, we see America, we see China too, going in and tapping into all of the resources and really replicating the old style of colonization. It's a sad thing, and when you then come here and say, well, what does that mean for this country? What does that mean for this country? it's impossible to not see the same structure and the same system happening here, just as though it was 300 years ago. You know, we are using black bodies differently than we used them 300 years ago. Once they were picking cotton, now they're making license plates and sewing baseball caps in prisons. And we're using black talent and black skills and black muscle unabated. We of this color are the dominant culture. We will just simply take what we like and disregard the rest. And you can't help but see it. And you can't help but look at it and say, where is there a correction for this? Where is there a correction? Because the standard white answer is to throw money at it. And so far that hasn't worked. It didn't work with the Native Americans. It's not working with the African American population. It's not working with the Hispanic population. It doesn't work. So for me, it's about how do you, as a 21st century white American, how do you engage in making amends? How do you engage in a correction for this? Understanding that the damage has already been done, so it's not like we're going to fix it, right? And we don't want to put a Band-Aid on it. What we want to do is to start to look at it and say, how can we assess what the problem is, and how can we begin to address that in a way that builds a sustainable, healthy community.
So when governments throw money at it, it really is added, because it doesn't get to the household. You know, they talk about this, there was this one time there was this trickle-down conversation, right? Well, it never trickled down into the household. So I'm not going to talk so much right now. We have some slides that are going to help us to continue the conversation. But that was one of the things that just kind of hit me. Everything you said was wonderful, but that kind of stuck out for me in terms of how the money flows. When you're in financial services and you understand a little bit more about how money, the system of knowledge and the process about how money really works and how it flows and where and what causes it to move and where and all the regulation around it, and you have a totally different mindset when somebody says throwing money at something, right? And I don't have to tell you that it didn't hit your household. We know that, and we're going to verify some of that in some of the slides.
So my point of view from that film, it was quite interesting because I've traveled for it, and I've been there for quite a few times. And to actually see the prosperity that existed. But, you know, you've all heard about that whole crab thing and how, you know, crab is on a bucket and gets to the top of the bucket and crab pulls it back in. Next crab gets up, crab pulls it back in. And to me, that's been some of the mindset of African American community. We've not been, my 44 years on this planet, we've never thought about trying to pool resources and try to figure out a way to it's not necessarily just, with the government assistance. But, to this point, the money is thrown at the community, but it's thrown in a way that they will prosper. It's not to actually fix the problem, right? It's, we will throw money at building housing, public housing, right? But who's going to capitalize on the building of those structures? Not us, because we don't own the construction companies, right? We'll throw money at building a mall on that side of town, right? Why is that? Right? Again, who's going to capitalize on it? We don't own the construction companies, we don't own the stores that will actually occupy those facilities. So, we as a community, in my opinion, you hear me talk TPOs, talk about those personal opinions, right? We have to get to a point where we start to pull our resources, understand our impact to society. African American community, $7 trillion that we bring to the American economic system, but we never look at it from the standpoint of collective. We always look at it from the point of I mean mine, right? what I can do, what I have, and instead of what can I bring to the community and help the community. And that's really when Kenny asked me to participate. I said, this is something that I bring a certain skill set. I've got over 20 years of financial services experience. From Wachovia, Bank of America, TI Crest, now with Wells Fargo, of going through and truly understanding, to your point, how the financial system operates. Not talking predictive, but I come from Winston-Salem State, where I got my undergraduate work, and then Wake Forest, where I got my MBA. And they put a foundation of financial independence in me when I went to Wake Forest. And from that point forward, it said, I looked at everything that I did, my family did, within the community, and said, how can we, as a people, come together and figure out how best to get out of many poverty-stricken situations that we're in. Oftentimes, we don't look at our own capabilities. Government is needed, but constantly looking for government to bail the community out, that's not a solution. That's not a solution, not a sustainable solution. They, put money into a program which will help individuals go and get a trade or scholarship money so people can go and get educated. And then bring that knowledge, those skills back to the community. That's, to me, what we're driving for. And coming here, again, I work for Wells Fargo, represent Wells Fargo. If we can have that open dialogue about home ownership and how to actually, within this community, these steps to solve how to help people become home owners or get to the process, go through the process of becoming homeowners. Because it's a process. It takes time, it takes education, it takes knowledge. You have to understand what you're capable of affording. And then the process of establishing your training, things of that nature, in order to get to that point of home ownership. So I appreciate you guys inviting me, and I definitely want to continue this dialogue. And I will
Yeah, I was traveling from Nigeria in '01, and I was impressed with Nigeria, and then we went inland about 500 miles, went through a reintegration program where they gave me a new name and introduced me to the culture. And I never forget one of the Obama, the kings, who kept telling me that I was one of the first to return. So I had a lot of psychological impact and genetic. And when I came back home, it affected me. After that, I was good. So, not long after that. But I had found what I thought was going to do. So when I hear the brothers talking about the Africa, for me, Africa is the victim of politics. And so is America. On the whole, it's a victim, because the rich that control the wealth around the world, they put the politicians on ropes too, and the strings. And so East Spencer and the black communities like East Spencer, they are victims of political schemes. But in our leadership, national black leadership, is caught up in trying to gain power, access power through politics. And if you compare any other demographic with the Asians, they don't have large voting blocks, but they are very affluent because they understand that it's all about economic power. And once you got the economic power, you can kind of control the political venue. So for me, I was taught earlier that all politics are local. So I don't get caught up in what's happening in D.C. I do look at the national news, I look at them, that I'm concerned with local. And I've been blessed, I don't know how it happened, but I've been blessed to see the system. And I can show it to you, the system. And so in order to change our condition, you have to be able to take a cold, calculated look at the systems, the ecological systems that are supposed to protect all the communities. But especially in the black community, the ecological systems have failed. Housing has failed as a strategy for black and the poor. When you look at the government of the United States, and you look at the Republican Party, and you look at the Democratic Party, at some point, I don't know exactly when it happened, but the system, the political system, the two-party system came to an agreement, and that agreement was that when you want to deal with housing, housing is a vehicle that the Democratic Party is able to use to grow the voting base in different locales. So what happens is when Section 8 and HUD projects pop up in a community, it creates contention for Republicans, because the Republicans see that the land values are going to be negatively impacted because of the housing program. You start moving a lot of Section 8 people in, and this past year when our Commissioner Pearson, we talked about that. And I understand that on the other side of the coin, the Republicans have access to the Treasury Department. And what they are usually looking for is ways to maximize or optimize the capital system by creating T-bills. And those T-bills help to create returns for people that's invested in market instruments. But also, the government only gets its revenue from us, from the people. And so we have over, I think it's $19 trillion in debt, but we're only servicing the interest on the debt. We're not dealing with the principal at all. And so when you look at what's going on now, and they want to cut this and they want to, I understand it, but the money's got to come from somewhere. So if you cut expenses, you're still not going to see the tax rate go down, because government needs the tax in order for it to sustain itself. So when I look at the Africa piece, we're in worse shape than Africa here, because we've got the technology and we've got the education, what we don't have is we don't have the right instruments. And you know, and to Commissioner Ed's credit, we went out and did a boots on the ground project last year, and that we were knocking on doors, and we knocked on one door about 8 o'clock in the morning, and the brothers were deep, like 8, 9 deep with guns and smoking that lunch, and you know, they thought Greg was a fake, right? So they panicked for a few minutes, and then we was able to calm them down, but he got to see what we deal with. And one of the other things is that's a politician, and he's a risk taker. He's got his family on the line, he's got his political career, and that's why I wanted to do this, and do it so that people see it, because I'll attack it if it's warranted, but I don't want to attack. I want to find a way to make things work. And so the local politics suggest that they are still going to try to throw money. But the problem is, and the thing that was absent in the Rowan, the thing that was absent for me was we're not helping Greg, you know, and Craig Pierce, and the people that do step forward, the witness, the man. We don't help them when we as a people don't open up our mouths and say that ain't what's good for us. This is what's good for us. You know, and so, and when you do it, you get attacked by your own. I don't sweat that much, you know. But one of the things we have to do is we have to have some self-determination. And we have to lead when we think our leaders are not doing the right thing. We can bring them to the table and talk, but if they don't listen, it's still your responsibility to make it right. And so my little 58 years here is, you know, I want to make money and have us be seen favorable in the light of people's eyes, but I mean, if it don't happen, it don't happen, you know. But I'm not going anywhere, and what I want to do is I want our voice to be heard, and I want to honor anybody, black, white, purple, whatever color, anybody that had the right idea and the right strategy and valiant effort. And they passed on, or they landed on the deathbed now, or they working and they putting everything in risk now to try to make. I want to honor that effort by being able to say the thing that we need in our community is this, and this. And then have a logical and a practical plan to get there, and that's what this is all about.
Anyone else on the film clipping side?
So when I looked at the film clip, my mind went in many different directions and touched on a lot of it. But I also kind of in the background stayed focused on the music, the beats and the dancing. And for me, that seems to be the trap here in North America, especially with our young people. They've been so systematically conditioned by the music. So the music is teaching them everything they feel they need to know in life. So they're not learning how to save money, how to protect their credit, how to learn how to purchase a house. All they're learning is how can I get the quick money? And then how can I spend it on the rims or the gold or the flashy dress style? You know, none of it's really coming back to anything that's gonna better them. And it's like it's kind of kept them stagnant or conditioned in the fact that as soon as you get the money, you go get rid of it, you spend it. And so for me, that's one of the things that kind of stood out for me in the clip was the music and how the music plays such a huge part in the conditioning. I mean, and it's not even just our young people, because I see just as many 40 and 50-year-olds walking around, especially guys, pants sagging, women barely having any clothing on. And it's all based off of the style or the type of music they're listening to and how they carry themselves.
So let's talk about who's making the most money off of that.
We're not.
No.
Even what little bit we make for the artists that are recording the music, they are not even really seeing much of it because they're being told, we'll give you so much, but we're going to value all of this, which feeds into the flashiness that makes it so popular. So by the time they realize that they are so far in debt or owe so much in taxes, because nothing has been done to protect them in that sense, so they don't even know. So it's the record label owners and, you know, all of these people, you know, that are capitalizing off of our lack of knowledge.
What in the meeting we took me back to was just I got a lot of friends just in poverty stricken areas, and we don't. Every time I try to have a conversation, like, yo, like let's try something different, you know, let's do something different. They look at me like my eyeball, like I don't. We shouldn't be talking about that, man. Let's talk about something. Like, have you heard that new Lil Uzi album, or just some like different type of artists out there? Like this, they don't really want to have those conversations. And it's most of the time we know that we need to do better, but also we look at the people around us. We have the different influences of, oh, you can't do that. How you gonna make that happen? You can't accomplish that. The crab in the bucket mentality. And so they don't necessarily tell each other like, man, you can't achieve that. Like let's figure out how we can make it happen. Let's build that up. But we have our parents telling us, hey, go to work, go to the job. You know, not, hey, go in there and figure out how to build this company. Hey, you speak really well. Figure out how to be a motivational speaker. All right, why don't you get a mentor, find somebody, follow them for like a year, 3 to 6 months, figure out what they do, and follow them, and then become what they do. Find somebody of really valuable leadership. We don't really have that in our neighborhoods available to us, and we don't really have it in our everyday life, in schools. Because even in school, they tell you, oh man, you made a bad decision, go home. They don't necessarily, oh, you made a bad decision, let's figure out what's going on at home. Let's figure out what got you here. Because we don't really feel like we got nobody to talk to. And so even if they look like us or don't look like us, and so it's like, we don't really feel like anybody cares about us. And if you hear it in our music, it's like, we got songs out there that's called, All My Friends Are Dead, I'll put the Molly in my drink so that I can take the stress away, all that type of stuff. And they look at all these artists to get them away from their pain, but really they just systemizing themselves and really programming themselves to be depressed. And they don't notice it because it's disguised in the music and the beats. It's who we can turn to right immediately. And we can just get away from it because nobody else wants to hear our pain. Nobody else wants to sit down and take the time and just talk to us, explain it to us. Nobody wants to give us that opportunity. And so we never get to that point. And so we just put ourselves right back in the trap. But we don't take the time out to look and discover like we are kings and we are queens and we are built to be successful and we are great. We just look at, oh man, he on TV, he trapping, he doing this and that. Or he over here, crackhead, he don't have it like that. Or my mom didn't have it like that, so I guess I ain't gonna have it like that. You don't make it out here like that. Like, no, you can still do whatever you want to do. You just gotta really believe in yourself. And it's hard to believe in yourself when everybody else is knocking you down. Every time you turn around, you get punched down. You can't do it. You really gotta find somebody to build us up. And we have to do it as a team. We need you guys and we need ourselves too and our friends to really join together. We need y'all, especially.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. It's so true. I grew up in Mississippi and heavy projects. So I'm a part of the projects. And what you're talking about, I live every day. I mean, literally every day. The crackheads sitting there on the street, right in front of your house, you know, prostitute, the drug boys, swinging, you know, whatever. And so, hearing the pain in your voice, I mean, literally, I'm a part of the Happy Hill Project. Happy Hill was so bad, it don't even exist anymore. Right? Yeah, they wiped it out, they got rid of it. But, you know, the thing that I think got me through what you're talking about was actually separating myself from those environments, right? So you hear all the negativity every day. You see, you know, people at 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, cursing, fighting, drinking. That was every day. And so I did find a mentor, football coach. Football coach was my mentor. And he took me under his wing and said, well, you can be whatever you want to be. You know, so I ended up getting out of the projects. Fortunately, unfortunately, through the death of my grandparents, one of my grandparents. And we ended up moving into one of my grandfather's house. And that's how I got to the other side, right? Because I didn't know anything about anything outside of Happy Projects. And from there, football coach again, taking me under his wing, go to work. You know, you can go to college. Nobody in my family went to college. I was the very first graduate from college in my family. And I'm like, how in the world we get to college? We don't have nothing. No money, nothing. Financial aid. What is that? Yeah. Again, that's where you start talking about the government system, right? Government throwing money at situations. Well, it becomes an education thing of, okay, if I go to college, but in order to do that, you know, I have to have money. If I don't have money in my pocket, what is there that I can tap into? And that's where, you know, you start to learn about ways that, yes, this time I said the government did that. The government helped me out tremendously because there was a pool policy there. I tapped into that pool in order to go to college. And to get away from the system. Because had I stayed within the system, stayed in Winston-Salem, in Happy Projects, I probably wouldn't be sitting here today. So many of the people that I know, they're either 6 feet under or in 6 foot, 6x6 6. And, you know, to your pain and what you're talking about, by all means, you know, we are here to about it. And to be those mentors and to help you get away from that negative situation. So, I know what you're talking about.
It's like, majority of the time, I have a lot of friends who's like sitting there and they're talking about, man, you know, like somebody like you. And so you're the vice president of Wells Fargo Mortgage and Home, right? Mortgage and
Wells Fargo Home Mortgage is part of what they call lending board, consumer lending board.
okay. And see, so I would have never mentioned if I would have never came to this meeting, right? And if I would have never came to this meeting, it would have been because I never met Mr. Muhammad. And then also because I met Ms. Robin. And so I would have never known about this opportunity or that you even existed. It's people like you that we still need to see in the neighborhoods. Even though it's still, I can understand it can be dangerous to come in some of those neighborhoods. And it's crazy because it's like you came from them and you're still just like them. You just don't look like them at the time being. But you still look like them. You still come from there.
The people I am a part of the projects.
Right.
You know, and going back to the projects, when I'm leaving the projects, you know, you're calling so many sellouts. You know, again, that goes back to that whole crowd thing. You know, why am I a sellout? Because I'm trying to cut myself. You know, trying to pull you back into that bucket. And the objective, again, TPO, is not to remain in that bucket. You know, there's more to life than what we grow up on. You know, like I said, getting out and having your projects, I had no clue what was on the other side of town. because I never been exposed to it. We didn't have the car. You know, we didn't have money to take the city bus. So when we got an opportunity to get out and see what was around us, you know, it's like, wow. So what else is around North Carolina? Right? And then what else is around, you know, these 50 United States? And then what else, what happens when we get outside of the United States, right? And, you know, you get to the point where you can't trust what, you know, I learned that you can't trust what the media tell you because it's so focused on what they want you to know. That there's, you know, that company called Africa, resource rich. They probably don't even know all the resources that they have in Africa. You know, from the oil to the diamonds to you continue down the path of natural resources or iron, you know. But back to here, we have to continue to educate ourselves as to what opportunities exist for us to get out of our existing situations. Not necessarily looking at what Sister there said about, you know, what you see on television with, you know, first thing you want is rims or a big chain or, you know, Gucci, Louis Vuitton. That's not the first thing you want. You know, you want to get to that point of, you know, let's start looking at and understanding what an asset is.
Right.
Right. So, yeah.
I would like to say that, you know, when you find yourself thinking the thoughts you're thinking, that's what makes you different. Now, in our family, there'll be left. I was the first one to go to college. I didn't want to go to college. I didn't want to do nothing. But my brother went and kind of messed up, and so everybody in the family, everybody, always everybody, like, if you don't be like this, you got to go to college. So I went off of a grant. But my mom never allowed me to leave East Boston. Even now. I was 9,000 miles and my mom is very slick. And she can say this stuff to you and then hang up and then she'll call you back and I ain't gonna try to work you, boy. That's exactly what she was doing. In 95, my mama called me and told me, well, you know, they say the town was doing bad and, you know, that gave me school, you know. I don't know what we're going to do. We might need to get back here. So I moved back and got in trouble. And getting in trouble part is what I got to get past because the getting in trouble part fixed me. You can't get me out of this place. You can't, I mean, I'll travel, but I'm always going to come home because I understood early that I was going to be the mayor. I knew that was further to go, I'll be the mayor. But it's bigger than that. I know now that I'm supposed to make sure that when the Antonios get out and want to go and live on the other side of town, we have to say to other brothers and stuff, no, he's got to go because you need that symbol. Nick Means is one of the first black vice presidents in Lorain County. And people that, I told them, don't get in the trench because you can't do this and stay work with Mr. Fisher. I got that. But I need you to meet Nick Means and Antonio so I give you something to point at. But I can go in the crack house. Red can tell you. And if I stay in there all day, the crack house is going to shut down. But I'm there because I can't get out. I don't need it. My mom gave us something. We just didn't need nothing outside of their brothers and their sisters. And so you have to be tough enough to separate from that negative element. But if you separate, it needs to be separated and go get stronger so you can go back in that element and change that element. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want to live in the white community. Not because nothing against them. I want my community to come. You know, and if I don't hold that post and keep that posture, young brothers and stuff like you, they're not gonna have that example. They're not gonna have Antonio and Nick me. You know, so, and it's the Antonios that I can call, I start working with maybe in 09. And you know I'm not gonna beg him for nothing. I'm on my own. And I'll go without before I beg. You know what I'm saying? But if I can help him to get to the top, then I'm gonna help him to get to the top. But what I expect out of that is some reciprocity, there's some gratitude to come back and help you to get where you're trying to go. Yeah, we can help you, but there's gotta be something in you that you wanna do that. You gotta ask yourself every day and ask God every day, what is it that you want me to do? And then it don't matter who come against that, that's who you are. I know what I am and who I am. And I take a whipping every single day for my ideals and my thoughts. Greg, he takes mean, but he takes some off me. Mean, but you have to take the risk in order to make the change, and you get the ridicule and everything. But if you know who you are and you stay focused and stay tied into the source, whatever that is, you'll be all right. Nobody else can make you who you need to be. All that trial and error and the criticism, that's who make you who you are. So you gotta fall in love. If you get an attack, it's something different about you. You're not better than your brothers and sisters. I go into projects and man, and when they go into projects and they don't know you can get killed in the project. We were doing a survey for the school, right? And I had told everybody, because some of the brothers, they scared to go in the project. It's like God. Y'all know it's like God. So we went to West Street and I was like, all right, stay two together. We'll never let your partner just witness she gone. I'm like, wait, why you? Well, I said, you can't let the passion will get you in trouble. But when you do, I've been in there and the place is so filthy, right? But I know, that's why I'm like, girl, at least you can clean up. Give me a glass of water. Y'all know my language is bad, everybody. Like, give me a glass of water at least. That's vulnerability. And vulnerability is a management skill. Most people are afraid to be vulnerable. And I'll sit down and the roaches running and I don't want to drink the water. But when she brings me that glass, she rinses out and I drink that water. And the next time I seen that girl, 2 weeks later, she said, I thought you was going to come back and check to see how the house. Somebody had told her she could take olive oil and a little bit of vinegar and warm water and wax the floor and you can see the face. That's what our people got at. We got to go the extra mile, man. Or we just fooling ourselves. I mean, if Greg ain't doing all that work and then fooling himself that he's going to be successful on the end. You can't, so you got to go all the way. All the way. You know what I'm saying? And if you ain't willing to do that, you got to leave it alone or it'll kill you.
So what we're doing is having we're shifting the mindset. And one of the things that I know is that whenever we come together like this, it's always about the environment, who's in the room, and how the healing happens. So it can never be orchestrated. It can never be orchestrated. I just met the gentleman a week ago, if that, right? And also Gerald maybe 2 weeks ago, right? And somehow the universe decided that we are all in the room together, okay? Because we all need to hear that. My granddaughter is 22 years old. How old are you?
22.
Okay, so we need to hear the conversation that they're having, right? So that we can change and create a new model of reality. That's what's needed. And it happens in a small room like this because we are not the crabs in the barrel, right? Because we hear that story. We hear that story. So what I want to do now is move forward. Are we complete with the film clip? Was there anything else? Okay. All right. So I don't think I have to stand there. How we got here. Oops. So we have a plan. It looks kind of like this. And so we're going to take this strategy. We stayed up and we hashed it out. I mean, we just talked about it. You know, shorts and t-shirts and all that kind of stuff. I know I'm not good, so. But anyway, right? We hashed it out because it takes a mastermind, right? It takes us coming together and thinking past the problem, right? So we do have a plan, and so we're going to go through what some of that looks like. This is where we are, the panel discussion. Commerce. This is a conversation about commerce. The historical cause and effects of our socioeconomic reality, the current perspectives on sustainability through financial literacy in the Black and brown community. That's why we're having this conversation. When we say commerce, it affects everything in your life. When you get up in the morning and go to the bathroom, turn the light on, flush the toilet, you just spend some money. Okay, but we don't think about it like that. All right, so we're going to bring our awareness to the fact that there's some commerce going on all the time. And this is the conversation that we have to have. Commerce, Negroes for sale. Commerce, from the time we set our foot on this continent, right? These shores, the wilderness of North America, this was how many of us got here. There was a whole lot of us already here. But by virtue of the color of our skin, those of us who were already indigenous here in the Americas, and his story will tell you that all the Native Americans are yellow people, but they are, do your own research. They look like us. We are them. Okay? So when we talk about creating a new model of reality, there's some historical things that we get to correct in our own heart and mind. Okay? So this is some of our experience, and for many of us, we were already here, but by virtue of the color of our skin, we all got rounded up in the experience. And that's what this is, having the conversation about the experience. Commerce, Black Wall Street, from 1830 to 1921. 600 businesses, 21 churches, 21 restaurants, 30 grocery stores, 2 movie theaters, 6 private airplanes, 1 hospital, 1 bank, and its own school system. Thriving. Tulsa, Oklahoma. Tulsa, Oklahoma. Commerce, right? So why am I sharing this with you? Because we can do this. We are an extraordinary people under oppressive conditions. And those of us who are different, and all of us who show up in a room, we are different. And we know others of us who are different, who can hear the conversation, and we are committed to talking to enough of us so that we get to the ones that can hear the conversation. Yes, yes? Black Wall Street. On a rumor that a black man assaulted a white woman, they burned a whole town down. Hundreds died. It's part of our Holocaust experience. And since this time, there is a fear factor, okay, inside us as black people that they are not going to let us do this again.
Right.
Okay, so we hear real talk, yes? Yes, yes, okay? So we can do this. How do we know that we can do this? Because the skills, the knowledge, the know-how, the first generation university is us. Okay, I'm 60. My daughter was the first one to go to college. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 14. I made my first million by the time I was 28. I've seen both sides of the track. I've seen poverty where the toilet has a pipe coming up and the rats are crawling in and out. And there's little babies in the room. I've been in the crack house under the George Washington Bridge in New York City. But for the grace of God, walked out, and the next ones to go in were the feds, and everybody got locked up. So I know by ordination of some holy kind that I'm supposed to be here in the room. Because I wasn't doing drugs. I'm eye candy. Right? I'm on the arm of the guy. Okay? That's how we get caught up, right? Right? Our goal. This is about a retrospective and transformative process that leads to a holistic community reconciliation. It is no longer about what they, right? And we all get who the proverbial they. That's when your mama and your grandparents tell you that, child, they're not going to let you do that. Because their experience, right? Slavery is less than 100 years ago. Okay? And they just lynched somebody not too many months ago. Okay? And the movies keep coming out about showing us the history. I'm like, I don't want to see that anymore. We are creating a new model of reality out of our extraordinary experience of who it is that we are and a vision of where it is that we're going, and recognizing that there are white people who can hear us, that they are not the enemy. Some of them. Okay? Transformation, key word. Topics. We saw the film clip. High cotton. I could have gone and pulled pictures about African people picking cotton. We all know that story. High cotton, right? Cotton was king, right? So the so-called emancipation. That's why we just celebrated Juneteenth, right? Because they forgot to tell some of us, right? And some of us still ain't heard, right? Right? Still ain't heard, okay? We still bound massive, right? Interesting to me, I'm new to Salisbury. I walk up and down this, and I grew up north, okay? So I walk up and down the streets and I encounter our brothers and sisters and the white people too. And I notice how still here in the South, black people move to the side and drop their head when white people walk by. Am I the only one who sees that?
No, you're not the only one who sees that.
Okay.
I see it.
You see it,
I see it.
right?
I see it every day. Every day that I go out there and I go to some store or to Walmart or the grocery store or anywhere, I see it that black people can't look me in the eye. No matter how nice I am, no matter how I speak to them. They just will not look me in the eye. The tone of voice changes, the body English changes, it all changes.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I know why it is. I'm just saying that she's right.
Why?
Why is it? Because we still are functioning under the master-slave syndrome.
Sometimes.
And sometimes
But
it's,
sometimes what we do is we don't want to show our disgust, right? So I'm bad about it, you know that.
I know that.
I'm bad, I'm probably one of the worst. Because I'm saying that you don't matter anymore at all to me. That's what I'm saying. And so these young blacks, they don't do it. They doing it for a whole different reason. And my mom did it out of a sense to protect. All right, my mama would do it, but we had this guy, I don't know about it, Jim, ain't none of y'all here. His name was Big, but he was the sheriff in East Spencer back in the day. You heard about it? He used to kick the brothers in the behind. Wrong with it. And he kicked the black woman and she cut him up. My mom was kind of out of that. So she wouldn't let me get in trouble, but you have to kill my mom over one love, and my sister's kind of like that now. So it ain't every black is feeling shame. And that's what's happening in the white community. The new leadership in the white community is new. These young people, bred them young. Like Mr. Leo Wallace, they was a little bit different. You had to deal with them a little different. But there's new crop of leadership in the white community is young, and they dealing with a whole nother situation. There ain't too many SMAs around. They dealing with these with Pookie and Day.
Sure is.
All right, if Pookie and Day, if they ain't looking you in the eye, that's probably a blessing. Because they got that thing in the street where you grit on it. And it's time to pull out the knife or a pistol. So don't get it twisted, as they say.
No, I know which ones and where are and how old they are. I got it.
All right, I'm feeling you, I'm feeling you.
So when we talk about a new model of reality, you see where we're coming from,
Yeah.
right? You see where we're coming from? I have a son who'll be coming out of prison after doing 8 years next month, right? If you grit on him, it's a problem. He went to jail for firing on the officer,
Yeah.
right? Fearless. Because he knows something's wrong with the system and would not bow down. And there was nobody, okay, that he felt like, right? So his father and I, wealthy, right? He's coming up, he would rather be in the hood, you see, right? And I don't even know what your experience is. Okay, I don't even know what that is. That makes you go that way. Okay? Other than the fact that I do recognize the economic conditions, and it's not about how much money you have or do not have. Okay, it's about your heart and your mind. That's what it's really about. So Jim Crow and housing, we have to have the housing conversation. So, we come into contact, many of you, because I'm in the trenches, just got my voice back, right, able to talk, because I'm in the trenches every night or every day, 2 and 3 times a day, teaching financial literacy. Because we've got to get to the place where we understand what the Rule of 72 is, right? We got to at least know how to save. Why is my money in the bank getting less than 1% when I can be getting 8% and 15%, a cap and a floor, and all these kinds of wonderful tools that are available, okay? Right. I'm teaching that in the community, right? That's how we're coming to know one another. It's about commerce, and all of the topics fall into commerce. Jim Crow, still about the whites over here, and the coloreds, the Negroes, the blacks, the African Americans. I don't know what name they're going to come up with for us next, right? We get to choose. The separation. Creating a legacy is about oneness. It's about humanity. And when we can come together and begin to have a human conversation and get us all to where we want to go without some having so much and others having nothing, and then those who have nothing, because it's not about a handout. It's not about a handout, okay? We spend $1.2 trillion a year just in the black community. We spend it. It doesn't even bounce once. It goes in the paycheck and to the mall. Out of our community. Right? Out of our community.
People out of our community. We don't think about keeping it in our community. Building a store that he owns, you own. That money goes back outside to other communities.
Is that a national figure? It's nationwide? That
Yes.
much?
Yes. Yeah. So, thank you. The war on drugs, school to prison pipeline, and a timeline we're going to take a look at. These are the conversations we get to have out loud. We get to have these conversations out loud. We're not so much asking for jobs, right? Because jobs are going the way of the dinosaur, if you notice. Outsourced, downsized, replaced by a robot, right? We need to create our own business, commerce, okay? The commercial inequity Commercial inequity. White households age 30 to 40, the difference, the blacks age 30 to 40 making $13,439. Whites $98,000. And the numbers get worse as we get older. 50 to 60 year old, $38,795. For our white counterparts, they're making $302,000. Okay? And so is it all about education? Not always, because you can make good money with a professional license. I'm good for that, right? Yeah, right? So, but this is a disparity nationally. These are the numbers. So we happen to know that this is by design. This is not just because black people lazy. Okay, that's not what this is about right here. Okay, so you don't build a nation for somebody else and then get saddled with the lazy label. Okay, well, we have some work to do. Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay, we have some work to do, and it starts in your mind. So when you see yourself in these numbers, remember this is about commerce. The financial state of the nation is that the average household is $118,000 in debt. Okay? We hardly even broke the $100,000 mark. So how are we $118,000 in debt? Credit card debt, right? This doesn't even include the mortgage. This is credit card debt and your car payment. Okay? 40% of Americans are not even saving for retirement. 72% don't have benefits. Like, what's that? Right? You have to be you have to know how to create benefits for yourself. Self-insured, self-benefit. They say that Social Security won't be around by 2034, and the latest numbers say 2022. It's 2017. Okay, so what is the future looking like? What are you going to build for yourself? This is an internal conversation. We've invited the community so that they can hear our experience. Okay, do you see yourself in these numbers? Just another graph to remind you how wide the gap is. The situation of most households is what Gerald talked about. The young people don't have any place to turn, and so they find their happiness, their contentment, their whatever it is, their belongingness in the street. And they can't get a job. But it seems that somebody's making it very convenient that weapons end up in our communities and drugs. So you get to be the one who doesn't get sucked into that. Okay? We get to be the one, yes? Yes, yes. We get to be the one who's not sucked up into that. So I'm not going to read all of this. We already know what's happening in the household. Okay? So the household gets to be the business incubator. That's the plan. Right? That the household gets to be the business incubator. That we find you and you, and you and you and you, and we get into your household, and myself and Brother Antonio, we get you equipped to take on your life in the world financially. It's all about commerce. There's nothing else going on in America but commerce. This is Antonio's slide. I'm going to sit down and let him talk about owning a house.
Yeah, fine. So when we look at home ownership, there's a lot of things that I mentioned before that goes into being a homeowner. So it's having that job. You can't pay back a mortgage if you don't have a job, or unless you inherit a large sum of money. And then you have to report that, and that becomes your vehicle for repayment. When you start looking at job, you look at your start looking at your credit history, all of that comes into play. So that shows you the slide about that credit gap, how much people are in debt. The first thing we want to do once we do find a job is go out and go on, another car. And then after we get the car, we got to fancy it up. Then we have to dress the car to support the perception that we are both, right? And that's not what life is about. It's okay to have a nice car. I've got a nice car. But before I got a nice car, that's what I got. I got my own, right? It comes in faith, right? So, I tell people right now, it's the perfect opportunity to become a homeowner. You've got interest rates as low as we've ever seen. I mean, traditionally, you could not get a home mortgage for less than 4%. You can go and get a 30, 20-year mortgage. So right now, right at 2.8, 3.3 somewhere percent. When I got my first house, my interest rate was 9%. I got my second house, it was 6.5%. So now, my interest rate is right about 2.3, 2.4%. But that was after the 2008 financial crisis, right? I tell people also, the fact right now is that, we look at everything. Because of 2008, we had to relax some of our credit requirements because nobody had a 700 digit score anymore. That 2008 hit everybody. So when you're looking at home ownership, there was a belief that you had to put 20% down to get a home. Not the case anymore. In fact, we have programs at Wells Fargo that, if 3% plus, we will actually assist you in actually getting that 3% through grants that we have, as well as different programs, sweat equity programs, things like that. So, home ownership, once you own that home literally, some people will say it's not an asset. I'm a firm believer in that having a home is the main asset, and that's how you start to build and leave that legacy. Because that home, the valuation of property. So people also, the big part of home ownership is location, and location. Because you want to purchase that home in an area that will be sustainable in the future. It's not going to lose value if you purchase that home in a decent area. And the appreciation value of homes. That's one thing, car's not going to appreciate. First day you drive that car, wow, it's going to depreciate. I'm not sure if people understand the difference between appreciation and depreciation, but if you buy a car at $25,000, the day you drive it off the lot, it may be worth $20,000. All right? And every year, that valuation on that car will be like this. Whereas with home ownership, it's doing the opposite. It's doing this. So, one of the things that I constantly talk about is, especially for, any community, but specifically our community, is, come talk to us. Come talk to me. I'll do everything I can to help you to get into that home, be prepared to get into that home. Because once you take that step, then, that's when, in my opinion, that legacy, that future really starts.
So who wants to own their own home? Right? Right? Yeah, we want to own our own home. And so I'm the person that says, well, Antonio, I don't think owning your house is a asset because it's money going out of the house, right? So in the strictest sense of the term, and if you're an investor, you don't count your houses as, you count your investment properties as an asset. And so why am I saying that? Because the conversation gets to be spoken out loud, right? So that you can make up your own mind. Right? And the thing about it is, the truth of the matter is, when you buy a house, you got land, right? And come on, right? Right? You have land, right? There's only a certain amount of land on the planet. So these are the things that we're striving for. Creating a new model of reality means, what are your goals and dreams? Not the means to the goals and dreams. What is the dream? What is the goal? Home ownership is one of the first things people have on their list. One of the first things people have on their list. Financial literacy is the most important factor in financial success. So we have a teaching that has to happen, right? That's why we do what we do every day and every night. Because legacy. So when at the end of that conversation, we start talking about trust and all those kinds of things, and you put your house into your trust, and you leave it for your generations to come.
Let me throw something out, especially for my nephew who is getting ready to embark on. He told me I can't say that. So anyway.
Okay. It's not public? Okay.
So anyway.
Not today, okay.
And expensive, we got about 725 houses. More than 55%, probably more than 62% of those households are 200% below the federal poverty guideline. So when you look at what Antonio's saying about location, you're not going to see a rush for home ownership in that community, right? Unless when you look at the median income on the month, right? Those 62 households, 62% of those households are generating about $1,516 a month in income, and that's all social assistance. So if Shanae is getting the check and living in the projects or living in Section 8, and she got Pookie and Day late 13 to 15, right? Then the chance of that family having a bright future is almost zero, right? Because at $1,516 a month, and 7.5% of that is going to pay water and sewer fees in the city of Salisbury. The difference in Shanae and SMA, who had 11 kids from the 40s up, is when Essie's got her head like this, she's saying, boy, you gotta do this, and your name is this, and these the value, and Pookie Dede mama is saying, get that money. You understand what I'm saying? So the only way we can defeat Antonio's argument is we gotta get in from the ground up and find a way to increase the net worth for that household. And that's what the financial literacy conversation is all about. And that's why I really wanted Greg to be here, because Greg's, where we clashed at a couple of years ago was in our region, which includes Union County, Mecklenburg, up to Davidson. Rowan was, I think we were maybe number 6 in terms of per capita, right, revenue. We only bring it in with the lowest. So we bring it in, what, about $900 per resident, per somewhere like that. So I see his point was housing, and that was our real argument, only argument, is housing is not going to generate enough revenue in Rowan County to do the big things and to make the county sustainable. But when you live in 200% below poverty guideline, you can see the stars at night through the roof. You know, that was where my focus was. And so when municipalities put their business plans out there and their comprehensive plans, they're looking at bringing that revenue in from the top.
Yeah.
And most of the time, it never gonna get down to the bottom. So what we wanna do is start at the bottom and try to meet that situation. And when you got programs like RAD, where the government is saying that a entity can take over and manage public housing units for 40 years and use that rent shelter to maintain that. So what we have to do is we have to have this conversation and do some cross-sector collaboration with municipalities and housing authorities or municipalities in a sense, right? So we have to create some strategies and say to the Greens that's taking the risk, look, let us try this. Let us try it, because if we don't do something about the household and the 35% increase in poverty in Salisbury, which is going to spread into the county, then we remiss if we don't come up with some strategies for that. And if we don't take advantage of some home ownership opportunities where negligence by Wells Fargo and Bank, it put them in a situation where they have to partner now with the community. And so you have to make enough noise, but you got to be honest. If you got white friends, you got to be brutally honest with them and protect them, so that they don't go out and say the wrong thing, and then they lose their credibility. And then the individual that you had that could champion the cause, your refusal to protect them got them messed up, and then you have to start all over again. So that's why I wanted you to come.
And I'll say one thing. The guy making 300 grand doesn't need my help.
Exactly. Exactly.
And that's not why I'm here.
Yes, sir.
The folks that, we need to raise the average and bring the guy up from 300 to 350 isn't helping. Because there's only a handful of 300s.
Exactly.
We got a whole bunch that are at 12. And if I can bring 50,000 from 12 to 35, and then from 35 to 45, and then from 45 to 55, that changes everything in this community. Everything. The bankers love it because they're selling money. There's cash in the bank. The retailers love it. People are buying money, and it attracts more retail and more opportunity for our kids. Don't shy away from retail. We made that mistake in Rowan County a dozen years ago by pushing away retail because we were so arrogant as to say we don't want those low-paying jobs. Well, where are our kids working now? They're not. And they're not learning responsibilities. And by the way, the retail leakage for our community every year, Rowan County is $172 million is leaving our community. And that ought to be spent right here. So, from a functional and systematic and framework standpoint, we are messed up in this community, and it's taken a long time to get there. But figuring out how to change all of that from the bottom up is really where it has to happen. The guy on top of me, he's not listening.
You know, I want to inject something in here. So this is a conversation about commerce and about you sharing your experience. So the black experience. What is the black experience to the 3 white people out there? And so from the white people's perspective, historically how it's been above and beyond throwing money at the problem, is we need to look at what we don't know, as now I'm in the black community. Okay, so the black community, and allow me to count me as the we there. We need to know what we don't know. There's a huge cavern gap. There's a reason that why Black Wall Street was so successful. It's because they knew what we don't know. They knew it then. And they got burned out and then systematically destroyed, and all the knowledge went with it. And so here we are now in the black and brown community, not knowing what we don't know. And who knows it? The white community knows it. And they're really bound to share that information if they're collecting federal dollars. So, I don't know how many of you have heard Kenny talk about the analysis of impediments, but that is what the analysis of impediments is about. It is the government saying to the city of Salisbury, you have not done your due diligence here.
No, it's the city
I'm sorry,
self-reported,
self-reporting.
self-audited is saying this is what we're not doing.
That we're not doing. We're not giving you adequate financial information, which we are supposed to do. So, if you, now I'm not going to stand up here and say that every white guy in banking or every white guy in business is intentionally trying to harm the black community, because I don't believe that. But what I do believe is that they don't understand the extent to which the ignorance of finances exists in the community.
So, a question for that, is even if it was shared, would they understand?
No, because they'll say that it's shared,
Right.
and they share it in brochures and handouts, and it's like, what?
And
Right.
so, to me, the question becomes, we always talk about gentrification, right? Hear about it. Well, my question is, what about re-gentrification? Instead of something happening to you, why don't you take the initiative to make it happen for you? Right? You be a part of that conversation and bring some ideas to the table to elected officials, to explain, where there are shortcomings. And the fact that, to what Kenneth's comments here, look at they might actually be great entrepreneurs. In fact, they probably are, because they've been swinging drugs for years. Yes, I mean, they're real. They could possibly be exceptional entrepreneurs. But selling what? Not the poison to the neighborhood. We've got to get out of that. Because, to the slide here, that quote unquote warm drugs. The true warm drugs, not really warm drugs, because it's commerce. Over there, they don't have boats, they don't have planes, they're not shipping the drugs into the community. They don't own the money to get the guns into the community, but somehow they mysteriously find a way in, right? So you're continuously creating these revenue streams, the real revenue streams, for the people who are supplying, including the data, not the supply, they're the distributor, right? So the question becomes, with that knowledge, the fact that the city is not sharing information, how do we get the city to the point of sharing information and the people understanding the information that has been shared and they're reacting to the information that they have now received, understood, and embraced?
So that's been actually a point of conversation for at least 2 years between us and the city. It is the communication gap.
See, one of the things that I don't want to project that I know everything and what everybody's doing, but in every community there's sectors. You've got government sector, which includes the municipalities and all the subsidiaries that the housing authorities, all that. Then you got the business sector, which is your merchants and your for-profits. And then you've got non-profit sector, which includes your foundations and your charitable giving. And then you got the citizens, right? And there's got to be a shared vision and a shared focus where all of those sectors are collaborating, right? What happens in the black community is we don't participate in the way we should. We think that white folk gonna figure that all out and they're gonna save us and save our communities. And so when the other thing is that in a city like Salisbury, you have to know the history of Salisbury. Salisbury, I was taught, real, this is Rope City. And it ain't changed. They just don't use the real road, right? You've got a small group of conservative families that have controlled the commerce for the most part, and really until maybe 2000, 2001 under Webb and Newton Cohen, the county never was a real factor in politics here. The city controlled the politics for all of my life, right? But when Newton Cohen got in, the county started flexing a little bit. And over the last 10 years, 20 years, there was an infighting between the city, not the municipality, but the people, the social group, the special interest group started clashing. And one of the things that was hurting the recruitment, and I've heard Greg allude to it, is that all the infighting does not do anything to enhance industry coming into Rowan County. And I say that to say that when you start attacking policy, because we emotional people, right? We just want to know nothing. We don't want you to know nothing. And that's legitimate, but that is not the root cause. The root cause is the policy. And so when black people in Livingstone College and the hood and your best minds don't attack policy, there's some selling out going on, right? Or either we just ignorant. And I would rather say we just ignorant. Because at a certain point, white folk don't need that much selling out because it's bad for them now. So when you attack the analysis of impediment and the city refuses to give you legitimate answers or to give you a written strategy that you can see in the comprehensive plan, then that means that the elite in the community have bottlenecked the sectors. And when you see killing and shooting and violence all day in Salisbury, not East Spencer, but when you see it happening in Salisbury and the merchants ain't complaining and they ain't got everybody down in the city hall every day, that is they complicit. And they already took their check in order to get the nice updates and stuff. And anybody want to call me a lie, but prove me wrong. So there's a breakdown in the sort of county, Greg, in my opinion, right? The county is going to have to be more of a father figure and kind of push like you're doing. You're going to have to push some of it, because most of the people at the city council, the ones that they are ignorant, they may be ignorant. You know, when you won't put no knock on the agenda, and I'm saying don't go no knock, go analysis. And black saying, man, the reason why you got to go with the policy thing, because policy is already there and it's a public issue. Political power ain't how many people you can get to come out with the sign. Political power is the ability to get an issue put on the agenda. If it don't make it to the agenda, it is not considered by the in crowd as a public issue. And that's why it's been so much resistance on, and that's why I keep hollering analysis on everything, come on, analysis of impediment. Why? Because our black leadership, they either ignorant about it or they don't know. I know, so I gotta keep pushing. You have to clearly define the issue. That's a public issue, right? One of the things that you learn in the financial, and I've learned this from you and I've learned it from Ron. If the in crowd does not believe that something that has a value that is acceptable to them, then it's not gonna make it to the agenda, because you have a institutional agenda, which is far-reaching, right? The main agenda, the general agenda is, they don't just gonna listen to, board members. They'll talk about it, and they decide it ain't no juice, and you can't bring the numbers, right? Or you can't bring the media pressure or whatever, then it's not, it dies there. If it makes it past that, it gets to the systemic agenda. But now it's talked about in the second, so what can we do about it? And how much do you think they can really bring the fight to the table? And so if it makes it there, then it'll get to the institutional agenda. And the institutional agenda is the far-reaching agenda that goes from the State House to the White House. So most issues, if you do 1,000 issues and put them before any public body, right? Out of 1,000, maybe 13 or 14 issues will make it to the agenda. Because political powers can you clearly identify the problem. So I don't try to identify something out of my own mind. Public housing is a civil rights policy. Right? So when they deny you the right to redress public housing grievances, that's a federal problem. But again, you gotta have an NAACP and a black electorate that understands that and is trying to do what Martin Luther King. See, this civil rights group that came out of Martin Luther King, they ain't saying that. It's a watered down version that will make Martin Luther King puke.
Okay, so the housing piece is there's 9 impediments.
9 impediments.
Right? And redlining, yes? Okay, I'm going ahead.
No, I just wanted to get Councilperson's opinion on the agenda for housing.
He's counting.
Yeah, of course, here from the county perspective, they have it, right?
Not on the city. I'm on the county housing, so I'm kind of supported to. And I don't bring the problems of the county to the table because it's too much. Because then it looks like I'm just a guy that's gonna holler wolf. Right? So my board is kind of pissed off with me because I don't participate very much. I go to the meetings and I'm upset because I see that we're not doing much better than Salisbury housing in the city of, So I'm not gonna bring that heat on myself right now. But I see what he's trying to do. The job is hard when you're trying to take the rich and put them in a room with the poor and then find a way to balance. Work it out. That's kind of difficult. I don't know what you're trying to get to say.
No, just trying to see what's your perspective on from a county point of view on housing and the actual fix.
You can't balance a county's budget from taxes garnered from housing. But we also recognize, I'm in the financial services business like you all are. And so we know instinctively that the average American's largest asset they will have in their lifetime is in the home that they have. And if you don't have that, that leaves you behind. You don't have a bargaining chip. So, to us, to me, it all starts with the job. And we have these discussions with Whitney. Some say there are no jobs here. There are jobs, but you often say if you want to get on a train, you gotta get yourself near the track. And so how do we as I can't go into the communities and drag kids to school. So I can provide opportunity. And so we're trying to figure out, maybe for the first time in decades, how do we provide the risky opportunity, unique opportunity, not throwing money at things, but how do we provide opportunity for folks where it seems like opportunities passing by. I don't mean to do a commercial for the North Carolina Manufacturers Institute, but we are spending for the first time about $250,000 to provide 8 weeks of training, and when folks come out of that, they have 38 manufacturers sit down at the table with them, and they're fighting over these graduates who now come out of that class with 5 national certifications. And they're fighting over these folks, and supply and demand is driving up the value of these graduates. And they're starting at $35,000 a year. They have room for advancement. They're full benefits. These are requirements that we place on the manufacturers and employers to be part of this program. And at the end of 60 days, if they still work for that employer, the employer pays the institute $1,000 so that we can now educate the next one. So that is becoming wildly successful. And it's helping folks who have felonies. It's a way for them to get beyond that. Having a felony but these classes is a tremendous, we have a lot of companies around here who will hire those folks and trumpet that. But recognizing the direction that the river is moving from an economic, modern economy standpoint, and putting yourself in that stream and getting folks to understand being a part of that process is difficult. I've got a kid that I've been reunited with. I won't say his name because I know I don't want to embarrass him, but I coached him in the Little League along with my sons. He was one of the most talented athletes that I've coached, and had mom and dad at home that taught him the value of education, showed him the direction the stream was moving. Went to A&T. Even as a freshman, he and some kids, instead of being out doing stuff after class, they were in the dorm room coding and writing apps for this crazy machine and selling them as freshmen. And he'd call me and text me all the time, and they were thinking about this kind of business, and what are you thinking? And I sat down with him for 2 hours at dinner a few weeks ago. My man's 2 weeks, or he's 2 years out of college making over $100,000. Not a white guy. He knew the way that the stream was moving. He knew the direction the economy was moving. If he thought the direction was menial tasks, menial labor, things that are going away. Someone was talking about robotics. Bring it on. Someone's got to build those, making $35 an hour doing that. Someone's got to program them. These jobs are not going, it's getting better. The opportunity is getting better and better and better. So my challenge is, as we're out there talking to companies coming here, is to provide a framework for those folks who want to get on the bus, who want to get on the train, that have the skills necessary, number one, to get a job anywhere outside of here even, but to have a strong enough stream of qualified workers that it will encourage companies to come here and move their $200 million facility here and provide better and better and better opportunities. Because last thing I said, the number one thing that a company is looking for, period, is qualified workers. And if we don't have them, we will never exceed here in Rowan County because we won't have the tax revenue to help pay for better teachers, to help supplement teachers, to help build better schools, to have water and sewer to areas that will bring new industry. It is, it's full circle. And a dumb guy like me is trying to think, this is not what I do for a living. So working with a guy like this and the friends around him who are the gatekeepers, talked about that yet. There's folks that he needs me to talk to. Because I have inroads. There are people that I need him to talk to because I don't have a ministry in that area. And he's right, I've gone with him, we've knocked on doors, and man, when the door flies open and they see me, they're like, whoa! They thought I was the feds coming to, so, in the end, I want to say this, I think it's about relationships. And I think the reason this stuff doesn't go on when we're talking at each other, that we know that each other looks at things through different lenses, because that's the experience in my life. Let me tell you, I'm gonna ramble. Let me tell you, I'm not from here. I'm from a small town in Florida, about the same size as Salisbury. And I can list hundreds of African-American men that were business owners and CEOs and supervisors that we could bring before young kids as a strong corporate example. And we don't have that here. Do we? So we have men that are mentors, and God bless them, and we need them, but do we have real successful men in this community as mentors? Is that bad to say? Is that right? And so where I came to see, I didn't see this in Florida. I work for a company that's ranked every year in the top 5 in diverse hiring. So I saw a good company with folks that didn't look like me sitting next to me every day, and so I come here and I hear discussions of like, I don't know what you're talking about, because that's not how I grew up. So trying to understand all of that now.
So just kind of coming from, I don't discount anything you say about the youth or the people that you're working with and how they're being trained and educated to be qualified. What I experience for somebody that looked like me and many that look like me, no matter how qualified we are, which is why the statement that you just made, you don't see many of us, regardless of how qualified we are, we're passed over for somebody that's way less qualified than we are, and given the position with the more money, and then we're having to take the entry-level positions that we're overqualified for and pay tremendously less versus our counterpart that clearly can't do the job. But they're given the opportunities, whereas we're not. So again, I don't discount anything you say, but from my experience and those that look like me and those that I talk to, we have a completely different reality.
And I won't discount that either. I'm just saying from this program standpoint, and what we're trying to do is pick up folks from the bottom. We're looking for opportunity and chance. Regardless of what the race is, we're paying the scholarship for them to go through an 8-week class, and people are fighting over them regardless of what the race is. So I'm just specifically talking about that one program. But I absolutely understand what it is you're talking about.
So then I guess the question would be, how do we get the whole involved in this process and not just one or two companies? Because and I got that it may be more than that, but having just a few companies operating like that doesn't do anything for the masses of us, because you're only going to be able to get so many in the door that way, whereas the masses of us are still going to be out here struggling and fighting and possibly not even having a job because we are being passed over.
Well, it's 38 companies. The program is fairly new, but it's a statewide success story, so much so that other communities are coming here to try to replicate what it is we're doing. So we have two challenges. One challenge is getting the rest of the 1,000 companies out there to take part in this. not just 38. And the other one then, so you've got the demand side, okay? So we're trying to pump up the demand side, but then we've also got to do the supply side. And so where the sweet spot happens is where the demand meets the supply, and that's what I'm trying to figure out. So I need help with the supply side.
We got a supply side strategy. Because they set it up for 2 days, we can't deal with the solution for Thursday.
Right, so we're not gonna talk, but this is a 2-day discussion, because we had to leave room for our hearts to speak. It's one thing to get up and just run through the slides, and it's just like anything else that happens out in the world, right? And we've all been to those. So, you know, we relax time constraints, we just gotta, this is work that has to be done. And so we get to come in the room to do it. So we're not going to be here tomorrow night. It's our regular financial literacy school night, and we're going to pick this conversation up again on Thursday evening at 7. So we're winding down. We already have talked about in this room so far. What are we doing now? It's like the buckshot approach, right? So we talked about gentrification, the Brenner Crossing. We talked about city council meetings. It just all came up naturally, right? The analysis of impediments. Schools, what do we need to do for schools? And then there's a movement for truth, hope, and healing and equity. They want to do some reconciliation work, yes.
Sister Ricks is on that committee.
Okay, beautiful.
She can explain what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome. Couldn't find it, and then I couldn't get up.
I see.
We were approached by the Presbytery to talk about the lynchings in the state of North Carolina. And one of the lynchings happened, and that's just one that we're looking at, happened here in Salisbury on Long Street. And I invite you all to be a part of what we're doing and join us on August 6th, which is a Sunday. It starts at 2 o'clock at the Civic Center, and then at 5 o'clock on the approximate area where the lynchings took place, which is at the Rowan County School Systems Warehouse on Long Street. But we chose to look at this particular lynching, and I want everybody to know we are not saying that they were guilty or that they were not guilty. We don't know. The injustice was that they were lynched by a lynch mob because they thought they were guilty, whether they were or not. And so we're going from August 6th on to other things that we are doing. And one of the things that we're doing, First Presbyterian, I don't know whether you all are familiar with First Presbyterian Church downtown, and if you are, it's a white, large church. And Crown in Glory, of which I am a member, is a very small black church. And about 2 years ago, we got together and we call it Conversations in Faith. And I would like to recommend that we get as many of those groups going as we can. And even though we say faith, it can be any group who's willing to sit down and talk about what's going on in our city, what's going on more than that between the two races. Because if we can get any common ground, we can work from there. And I'd like to say that we were flying the plane without any direction. And I said to Carl, who is my counterpart, we've got this polite conversation. We all know what polite conversation is. It doesn't touch you and you smile and go on about your business. And so we really weren't touching real gut feelings. So I'd like to report or say I'm glad that about 3 months, we hit on the topic of 28 things white people shouldn't say or do. And that brought a lot of gut feelings and a lot of conversation that a lot of people were not aware that they even had. And you know, you all have all heard it. I don't care about the color of your skin. No, it's not. I don't see the color of your skin. Well, y'all, I'm sorry. I don't care whether you're black, blue, white, or green. You cannot not see the color of my skin. That's the first thing you see. What you're trying to say is, I don't hold your color against you. I don't want to deal with you on a human level. So we've done that, and we are spreading conversations in faith after August 6th to as many groups, whether it is faith-based or any other base, to the community. And no, we're not asking you to join First Prayers and Crowning Glory. We need to move it out, and you join other groups, because we've got our groups there. We need your group and your group to sit down and talk, whether it's church or not. And we'll be glad to help you organize those groups. Yes, sir.
Ms. Rich, when I came to the meeting, I was invited by Dr. Hatch, who I have the utmost respect. And that's the only reason I came, because I had heard that the thrust was, the offer was that we want the reconciliation. And so after that meeting, I called Betty Jo Martin, and we met, and she wanted me to be honest with her, and Whitney was there. The problem I had with it was that when you look at the atonement process, reconciliation is number 6. So we're bypassing most of the guts of the atonement process, and you're asking people who feel like they've been wrong, whether people don't think they've been wrong or not, but you're asking them to go straight to reconciliation without any atonement at all. And so what I said to her was, I can't participate in that, right? But what needs to happen, in my opinion, is there needs to be a few small things that happen prior to August the 6th, so that I can say to the Pookies and the Day-Days who won't come, right? They won't care. They really won't. But they need to know. But I need to be able to say to them in good faith, it's something that you need to be interested in, because we do need to come to a point of reconciliation after we took those other prerequisites first. You understand? Otherwise, I mean, you know, you and I at our age, we might have 30 years left. But the 22-year-old is in the room. He's got to look at what we do as adults and then base his course of action on what's happening to adults that look like him or adults that don't look like him. So to go straight to reconciliation is, to me, that was, I told Betty Jo, I can't support that. I believe that it's a sincere effort. But to be sincere wrong is to be dead right. You know what I'm saying? And so if it's just for our age group, our demographic, and not for Pookie and Day-Day, it's not going to matter anyway. It's not going to create the feelings that you were talking about a few minutes ago. So we did this, the city, and after we went and saw what Greg was doing with growing Rowan County, I felt like I would force a step in between now and August the 6th so we can have that conversation. Because I want to support, I don't never want to be on the side of what's wrong. I always want to be for anything that's good, but good is relative. Right?
And I would invite any group to continue. August 6th is upon us now, so we can't do much other than these two before August 6th. But I would invite any group to take what we've done, whether it's conversation in faith or it's actions in faith, and move to help our city reconcile. And for those of you who don't know it, I'm running for city council.
Okay, congratulations.
I don't know whether it's congratulations or not, but I am running. I have a commitment to the city of Salisbury. and its citizens, of which I am one and have always been.
Thank you for being here and sharing with us what the vision is. This conversation, in the last 2 months, we've been having conversations every day and have amassed a team. So we're growing financial agencies in our community, okay? And so we've put 42 new people in the room who are learning about how money works for the first time. I sat in the room with some 22, 23-year-olds who didn't know what an annuity was or a 401k. I was in heaven. Do you hear me? Right? You would be too, right? Yes. Because we have to have the conversation at that level so that when we have these larger conversations that they have some relative substance, right? So that you know where you're going, right? And what we're talking about. So truth, hope, and healing, come on in. Truth, hope, and healing, and equity, come on in. Thank you, because that's part of what we need. And so this discussion is to get rid of the limited community input. Right, we want to increase our community input. And from inhabiting quote unquote grassroots from the bottom up, right? Because water starts boiling from the bottom, right? You want to get something hot. We're starting this from the bottom. And our own community, getting in handling the finances of our own household helps us to get over the crab in the barrel mentality, because now we have a bigger vision. We have something else in our hand. We have something else in our hand. We have solutions that move us to legacy with home ownership and all of the services that are provided that we know nothing about for the most part. Okay? So, what are we doing? These are some of the things that we're doing. Why isn't it working, and why? Because it has not been a holistic approach. Same things, we need to ask more questions. We need to have greater dialogue. What are the 6 steps before reconciliation? How do we get there? What do we need to do to process that? You know, do I need to be in a didactic conversation with a white person where we're just talking about how we feel and what our experience is, right? So what happens? We need to ask more questions. Day 2, Thursday. Because this divide, although we don't see the signs anymore, it's like a ghost out there. Yes.
So is it really gonna be at 7:30?
So this is a real time. It's gonna be at 7:30. Yes. So I know for everybody who works and try to get here, and I know you have more people that want to come, and we have more people that want to come. We wanted to make this a conversation where you needed to be here on both days. So people coming the second day, they're not going to get the juice the experience that we all have had today. But this is where we're going. We have the list of the strategies. We have the 6 steps to reconciliation, right? Because my question was and it wasn't even that conversation. It was another conversation that I was a part of, and they kept talking about this reconciliation. I said, what are we reconciling? We've never been friends since we set foot on this continent. So can we say that out loud in a room and then get past that and then move to what it's really about and handle the commerce? Because if my family can eat and have a roof over his head and everybody's happy, right? And we can go to university and we can take advantage of all of everything that's available and then create some wealth for ourselves. Am I mad at you anymore? Because I took the conversation of they away. And I took responsibility myself, and every household that we are touching is taking personal responsibility. Self-security, not social security. All right? So I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. You have any last remarks from the,
I'd just like to thank you guys for actually putting this together and inviting me. And I look forward to day 2 when we start talking about this.
Very good, wonderful.
I like the red gas cover stuff.
Yeah.
What you think, you're on the right track?
And the more I cause bigger trouble,
I got you back.
we're gonna protect you to the degree that we can. Now, you go out there and start doing this, right? So, no, but I'm saying for you to be here, I consider you a friend.
One of my favorite words is, phrases is people of goodwill.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
People of goodwill. So throughout the faith, get down to it, and be a person of goodwill and good intentions and good heart. And there are a lot of good folks out there that want people to do that.
We're meeting some of them. Rick Hudson.
Yep.
You know, Rick almost is a nuisance.
No.
Really, a good nuisance.
No, ain't no nuisance.
Oh,
He's my new best friend.
Yeah, he is. So he's bringing, you know.
Yeah, he's awesome.
So yeah, so we, but the event, the Growing Rowan, I mean, I love it. I thought, I know everybody's not gonna take advantage of being on the committees, but all you can do is put it out there and keep inviting people to it too. So that's kind of what inspired all of this. And then when I met with Ms. Rickstone, because I don't want to see all that goodwill and that good intention go to waste. Because we're not speaking up saying to white people, this is what we need right here.
It's a process, not an event.
Yeah.
So I want to thank everybody for coming out. We're not going to belabor the issue. This is so our request in the discussion is that we deliberately made it a day apart so that we could think about it, because it takes thought. This is a thoughtful process. So bring back whatever you feel like solutions are to the things that we talked about, okay? So that we can add them to the list of things that we thought about and how we want to move forward. All right? So thank you so much for being here, and there's plenty of food left, punch. Feel free to hang out. Thank you.
Over there.
Please stay, if I can, have my card.
Thank you.